Beautiful people, what's going on? We're back with you again. Welcome to Mose Knows. I'm your host, Mose. It's been a while since I've been with you, but have no fear. We are back. Got another live show for you. Happy and excited to be with you guys today. You know, I had to take a little bit of rest. The draft kind of wore me out. The coverage that I was doing, the live coverage, the recap, it took a lot out of me, but we rested. We ready to go. Back at it with another show. Today, we have a very, very special guest. All our guests are special, so it's no different, but we got a special guest today. Somebody with inside knowledge. Somebody who's a professional, does this every day. I'm a fan. I watch him. I interact with him. He had me on the show a couple times, chopping it up about the 49ers. You know what it is. But he's a professional. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows his stuff. So I got to bring him on. I got to get his insight. I got to chop it up with him, have some good conversation, see what's going on within the landscape of the NFL. 49ers writer for Sports Illustrated, my man, 100 grand, G-Easy. Bring him into the stream. Grant Cohn, what's up with you, man?
Man, that was by far the best introduction I've ever gotten. Thank you so much. 100 grand, I'll take it, man. Keep it 100 grand.
Oh, man, so glad to have you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Just kind of give, I know some of the people know who you are, 49ers fans, people that I rock with, they know who you are, but some people don't. I got my family watching, my mom, my dad, my father-in-law, my wife, again, she gave me the okay yesterday. But for the folks that don't know, kind of just give a brief introduction, let them know who Grant Cohn is, what it is that you do, where you come from, with your background. Just let the people give you insight into who you are, man.
I'm from Oakland. I've been covering the 49ers since I got out of college the last 10 years, starting with the Harbaugh era through the Tom Sula era, which wasn't really an era, the Chip Kelly era, which was like 10 months, and then Kyle Shanahan. I mean, it's been very exciting. I feel like we're coming full circle. When I started, it was Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Now it's Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. Funny how life goes like that. But yeah, I've been covering this team. I did it for 9 years for the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. And now I write for Sports Illustrated. So you can find me on Sports Illustrated, on Twitter, on YouTube. I try to make it easy, but that's all you really need to know. I'm not that interesting.
Nah, don't sell yourself short, man. You're very interesting. And that's why we need you here on Mose Knows. We're going to love your insight. Again, okay. Appreciate you for coming on. Let's jump right in. We don't want to take too much of your time. First topic of the night, obviously, it's been going around in the news. Let's touch on the Aaron Rodgers saga, man. It's a lot going on. Aaron is disgruntled. We're getting conflicting reports as to why. We think it's, the GM, Brian Gutekunst. He wants him fired. We get a report from his old teammate, John Kuhn, who says it's about stability. It's about security. There's an out after the 2021 season where the Packers can have a clean break without any financial impact. There's a lot going on. Is Aaron Rodgers a diva? Is he not a diva? What's your thought process on this situation, Grant?
It's funny. It makes me think of Deshaun Watson because now Deshaun Watson, people don't even talk about him anymore. We don't know what's going on with him in his career. But earlier this offseason, he was the one asking for the trade. And he was the one who you could argue kind of had a legit gripe. Like, the Texans suck. They're the worst. And he could say, I don't want to be here anymore. He did sign a contract, and a lot of people were asking, is Deshaun Watson a diva? Shouldn't he honor what he signed? All that kind of stuff. Doesn't that apply to Aaron Rodgers 10 times more? That's a good team. They didn't draft the player he wanted. Oh, well, they made it to the NFC Championship game. I don't really see what he has to argue about other than he doesn't have total control of the franchise the way Tom Brady does in Tampa Bay, which means he's, absolutely a diva. Some people would say that he's earned the right to be a diva, but Joe Montana never acted that way. Steve Young never acted that way. So I don't know. Let him do that to the Packers. I don't feel like you could act that way on the 49ers. There's a higher standard out here. Maybe.
Maybe, right?
Maybe.
It's tough. You bring up the name Tom Brady, but how many rings and how many fingers are full of rings for Tom Brady to have that, that cachet, exactly. I can make these demands. I can call the shots. While Rodgers has been a great quarterback, he's arguably top 3 of his era, right? Mm-hmm. While he has, MVPs and he has won one Super Bowl, it's only one. And you can argue, he needs pieces. But like you said, they've been good enough to make the NFC Championship game multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been able to get over the edge. So, I mean, it's kind of confusing to me when you have all of that, but you want that additional power. Speak to that power struggle. Like what more power could he want with the organization? I understand you talk about bringing players in and drafting players, but what more power does he need other than I'm Aaron Rodgers and this is what I need to be successful and to take this team over the top? What more could he possibly want?
Well, you hear the way that Bruce Arians talks in Tampa. I mean, he says, the thing about Brady is he wants to coach the team, and I let him. New England, they wouldn't really let him coach the team the way he wanted to, and that was their mistake. I just sit back and let Tom do it. And I think that's to Bruce Arians' credit. Like, he's almost 70 years old. Don't try to insert yourself and act like you're the genius there, that somehow it's half you, half Brady. No, you're just there enabling Brady to be great. That's your job. That makes you a good coach. And I think Aaron Rodgers looks at that and is like, well, I'm just as great as Brady. I'm better than Brady. I mean, don't you think that Aaron Rodgers thinks he's better than Brady? He's not, though, but he thinks he is. And he's thinking, if Brady gets to run a franchise and call the shots and call the plays and do this and that, I want to do that too. And I'm almost 40 years old, and it's time to get that now. And so he can blame it on the Packers drafting Jordan Love or whatever, not consulting him when they hired Matt LaFleur, whatever it is. I just think he wants more power. I think it's that simple. He wants more.
Now, there was rumors, we can bring up the 49ers. There were rumors, that Kyle Shanahan, made the phone call to LaFleur and, just tried to do his due diligence. He said this much on the Rich Eisen podcast and said, he didn't want to wake up on Friday morning hearing that Aaron Rodgers was traded, without doing the necessary work to see if they can make something happen on their end. But we know Kyle. You and I have talked personally about Kyle and his ego and the way he likes things run with the 49ers. Yeah, I understand Rodgers may have wanted to come back to the West Coast, come back home and play with a team like the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he would have gotten the power that he was looking for under Kyle Shanahan.
No, and I think that's a big reason why the Niners didn't sign Tom Brady last year. Remember, Brady wanted to come to the 49ers, not Tampa. He has no ties to Tampa. He's from the peninsula. It would have been it was his first choice. The Niners were in the Super Bowl. Tampa was 7-9. It was a natural. And the Niners said, Tom, we like Jimmy, which is ridiculous to think about in retrospect. But I think what I would only imagine, I don't have sources on this, but I would think that what you just pointed out, the fact that Kyle is so much of a control freak to it, and so is Aaron Rodgers, and so is Tom Brady, that those quarterbacks need probably an older, wiser coach to be like, do your thing, as opposed to a coach who's almost the same age as those quarterbacks and competing for a legacy.
Now, a lot of people don't know that outside of being a 49ers writer for Sports Illustrated, you are also a 49ers quality control and head advisor to Kyle Shanahan.
It's true.
He may not claim it, but we all know that it's true, right?
There's evidence.
So how could you convince him? I mean, hindsight is 2020. How could you convince him to make this move for Aaron Rodgers? Because I think, I believe there was some truth to him making the phone call, but I think that he really would have pulled the trigger for Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely not, because he doesn't want to relinquish that control. Yeah. But you being his top advisor, what would you say to Kyle Shanahan to say, look, you got to let some things go here. You got to give a little to get a little. Aaron Rodgers is the best fit over drafting a rookie quarterback. What would you say to make sure he pulled the trigger on that trade?
Well, it's like, Kyle, we already acknowledged that you're desperate right now. You made the call. You traded up from 12-3 to take Trey Lance. You're in a desperate spot. So that's okay. I understand. I mean, you're in year 5. You haven't won a lot. You need results. It's a results business, and you haven't gotten them, and people have your back anyway because of the narrative that people buy into, the injuries and all this stuff that maybe other coaches wouldn't get the benefit of the doubt with. So yeah, you're desperate. You need to win. And Trey Lance is very intriguing. Very intriguing. I like Trey Lance. You made the right pick there. But is he Aaron Rodgers? I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is old. But would you take one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers or the great unknown with Trey Lance? I mean, there's a reason you called up the Packers a couple of days, a day and a half before you drafted Trey Lance. So if you liked Aaron Rodgers enough to offer the number 3 pick 2 days before you drafted Trey Lance, then you should like Aaron Rodgers enough to make the same offer 2 weeks after you took Trey Lance. Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers is available, he says he wants to come to the Niners, and the Packers are open to it, don't make the same mistake 2 years in a row. Stop saying no to Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You did it with Brady. Now you're going to do it again. I understand that Trey Lance is very intriguing, but it's Aaron Rodgers. Get the 6th Lombardi trophy. You'll be a legend forever. Don't worry what happens after that in your career.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Outside of the Niners, obviously, if we're moving forward with the rookie Trey Lance and Jimmy for a year, if he can make it a year, where do you
fair
see?
Question.
It's a very fair question. Where do you see a possible landing spot, for Aaron Rodgers? A couple teams been throwing around out there. Broncos are looking into him heavily. What do you think is a good spot for him if it's not Green Bay?
Denver seems like the most natural spot because they're not in the NFC. So we would think Green Bay would want us in the AFC. And that's an organization that needs a quarterback and has a history of winning with aging Hall of Famers, treating them right, giving them the power they want. Of course, Peyton Manning is one. John Elway's another. I mean, that's really the main blueprint for success that Denver's had. Old quarterbacks, old Hall of Famers. Put a good team around them, they win. Maybe they could do that with Rodgers. Maybe that would appeal to him. Maybe it's far enough, close enough to the West Coast where he would feel like he could host Jeopardy every other week. I don't know. He's kind of strange, man. But I think that has to be a team that's a contender.
Lastly, what do you think his legitimate shot of being the consistent host for Jeopardy? And do you like him as the host for Jeopardy?
I haven't watched him. I think he's kind of corny. I mean, look, judging on his State Farm commercials, he should not get that gig. I mean, his State Farm commercials are terrible. There's a reason they're getting Patrick Mahomes in there. I mean, Rodgers is the stiffest guy. Like Steve Young, when I was a kid, when we were younger, I thought was decent in those. I thought he was pretty good in those Toyota commercials and stuff. I always thought he had like a little natural everyman kind of thing going on. Aaron Rodgers is like, I don't know, something about him. He's like the Tin Man. It's like someone give him some WD-40. He is stiff.
Yeah, very, very robotic.
Eli Manning has like a nice little sly sense of humor. Peyton Manning was a natural. Aaron Rodgers is so bad. Tom Brady's pretty good at it. I don't know why Brady always has a little bit of a sense of humor, but Rodgers is like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's not a duck.
All right, moving on to our next topic, man. This one kind of like frustrates me a little bit. We're talking about players and injuries during the offseason. Obviously, the biggest situation right now is Jawan James, right tackle for Denver Broncos. He opted out last year due to COVID-19. He was training to return this season, and unfortunately, he tore his Achilles. Because of that injury, the NFL sends out a memo saying that teams are not obligated to pay players' salaries because they are working out in the offseason. I think the biggest thing that frustrates me about that is, the narrative that comes out about players who don't work out in the offseason. We get reports all the time. If players show up to camp overweight, out of shape, not ready.
What about Mike McGlinchey last year? What the hell was that? I was like, you're 285 pounds. Well, for him to come in at 315, he would have had to do a lot of work out in his own. And look what happened to Jawan. That's a great point.
Right. So we hear such negative connotation put on players who don't work out in the offseason, to where this guy who sat out all of last year, so he's a year removed from football, playing actual football, trying to get himself back in shape to come back and be a valuable member of the team, hurts himself. And then the NFL comes out with this nasty letter. The NFLPA said it was gutless. Patrick Mahomes said, you're really going to not pay a player because he was working out in the offseason. Chris Connolly said, you don't understand what we players have to go through. We're told that we better be working out in the off season. We better be keeping our bodies in shape and together. We praise Derrick Henry for doing push-ups on rubber bands with chains around his neck. Like, this guy's a beast. He's training. And so sometimes we praise it, but then other times we don't. Like, give me your thought process on that and, what goes through your mind with this whole situation with Jauan Jennings.
Well, I mean, I think this has sort of been an issue forever in the NFL, and there's a certain amount of personal risk. Like, you can't put all the risk on the team. But I think what's also going on here is, like, crazy circumstances. This is the pandemic. It's not like any other year. These guys had to work out extra hard at home in ways they didn't do before, unsupervised. And the NFL should have the players back more than that. They should be protecting these players because it's crazy circumstances. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if a guy tears his bicep working out on his own, that's sort of like the hazard of the industry, I guess. But this seems like an unusual year. The NFL should not be like distancing himself from the players. Like, hey, that's your problem, buddy. Don't you care about your product at all? Don't you want him working out? Isn't there some kind of protection you can give him?
Yeah. It sucks for the player, obviously. Being out a year and now having the Achilles injury. I completely understand, everything you're saying. And, obviously the liability can't always be on the team because I think they were counting on him to come back, especially with their particular quarterback situation. Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock. Even if they do make a trade for Aaron Rodgers, you want to be able to protect him. But if a player is doing everything that he can in his power to make sure that he's ready to play, and if the stereotype that he's lazy, he doesn't work hard, he has poor work ethic, if he doesn't do that, I think, there's a double standard here that the NFL really needs to take a look at, particularly like what you said, in this situation where, it's an extenuating circumstance. COVID is not something that normally happens. There's not normally, the option for players to opt out from playing a sport that they love and that they signed a contract to do. So I think that there should be a little bit more leniency. And I think that the NFL should have pumped their brakes on, putting that memo out there.
It's just amazing how the NFL is always so quick to protect the pockets of the billionaire owners and not the 23-year-old kid who just lost his opportunity to make, 7 figures. It's rough.
Yeah, really is. Yeah. Ramon Foster, he put a tweet out. Obviously, DK Metcalf, did the whole Olympic trial. By the way, running a 10.36. I've never been a track athlete, but for him being 6'3", 240 pounds, running
very
a
impressive.
10.36.
All I want to say is Raheem Mostert runs a 10.15. All I'm saying. Raheem Mostert is faster than DK. No one really talks about Mostert like that, but
they really don't.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the fastest mile per hour clock by anybody last year. So, I mean.
So, hey, DK Metcalf, very good. 10.3. I couldn't do that. I mean, I ran an 11.3 with a standing start when I was 18, and I'm still proud of that. 10.3 is great, but Raheem Mostert's got you, man, by like a couple of steps.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that. They're talking about DK versus Tyreek, but I people are not putting enough respect on.
What about Mostert? He would beat them both. It's hilarious.
I think he would. I absolutely think he would.
What about Marquise Goodwin? Marquise Goodwin was a jumper, very fast, a long jumper. What about Mostert? He was the Big Ten champion, the 100, the 200, I think the 60 meters too. He's crazy. He was a better track and field runner than football player in college. That's the truth. I don't think he ever started at Purdue. He was a wide receiver at first. They didn't know what to do with that guy, man. Yeah. Interesting athlete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's move on. This one is probably near and dear to our hearts. You covering the 49ers, me being a Niners fan. The legend of Robert Sala continues to grow. I love that guy, man. And I hope one of my buddies hops in the chat soon. But at first, I wasn't a big fan of Sala. His first and second year.
Me too. I think I fired him pretty early on Twitter. I was like, man, I've seen enough.
Get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
But the Super Bowl year really turned it around. You saw what he was able to do once he could get the right players to fit his system, and then he can have the time that he needed to get his system in place.
Yeah.
And then in the following year, when you lose your best pass rusher, you have injuries all up and down the defensive line where the pass rush is, the heart and soul of your defense. You lose your best corner. There he is. I knew he was coming. There he is.
I fired him so many times. So many times.
Yeah, you lose all those guys. You lose Richard
He
Sherman.
forgave me, though.
And still have a top 5, top 10 defense with all that he had, by the end of his tenure with the 49ers. I absolutely loved Robert Sala. The legend of Sala grows, how humble he is. For those of you that haven't seen it or don't know, let me quickly pull this up.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick little funny story. We just had our bigs out there, and we were going through, and the horn blew for practice to be over, and I started to take my normal spot behind the huddle to listen to the head coach speak, and I was like, oh shoot, that's me. So,
man, let me tell you.
No, it was.
Let me tell you about Robert Sala real quick, because I don't think anyone knows Robert Sala better than me in the media. And Robert Sala is one of the most interesting people I've ever covered. He exudes aw shucks, Midwest. Man, this is just this funny story that happened. But he's not like that, man. He's a chess player. He's thinking 8 moves ahead. He's very strategic. He's like a politician. And I love Robert Sala. I love that man. But what he's doing here is getting the New York media on his side. They love him. And I've never seen a coach do a better job at getting media on his side. I mean, I love him. He got me early. And I was one of the guys saying they need to fire him. So another thing I've heard that he's doing is every team basically gives 15 minutes to 30 minutes for the media to watch practice every day. And then you're out. You can't watch anything, which is weak, because you should want media covering your team and watching everything. And there's really not many secrets that you're going to give up. And back in the day, it was all open. Bill Walsh, back in the day, was all open. And they closed it because that's what Belichick does, and it's a copycat business. So what Salah's doing is opening it up for an hour. Not entirely, but for an hour. Now he's got these writers loving him. It's very, very, very smart. I got to applaud Robert Sala. He's doing a great job so far with that New York media. It's not easy. It's not easy. Now he's got to win too. He's got to win, but he's very strategic.
Wow. I see. This is why we have to have Grant Cohn and his expertise on the show.
Yeah.
The show is Mose knows, and guess what? Grant knows too.
I know Sala. That's all I got, man.
I from what I've seen, I do know that he is a very humble guy. He's real down to earth. But I think, the element that you provided, that makes a lot of sense. You're coming in to a franchise that's, I think the stat over the past 5 years, they have the worst record in the NFL over the past 5 years or so. You're coming into a situation where, at number 2, you took a quarterback that only has 1 real year of production. He doesn't have that many starts under his belt. A lot of people are looking at him like, can he really take this job as the starting quarterback for the New York Jets in this type of media market and perform well? You have all of these negative things against you. And the one thing in that particular market that you cannot have against you is the media. Because once they get a hold of you, and once everything that they put out is negative after negative after negative, it's a downward,
it's an avalanche
fall from there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's doing a very good job. He said he's humble. I don't really know what Robert Sala is, man. I don't. And I love Robert Sala. I think he's just as confident as Kyle Shanahan is. That doesn't make him not humble. But Kyle Shanahan wears his ego on his sleeve. I mean, he's so not calculated. I mean, he couldn't do it. At least I don't see him that way. He does not think 2 moves ahead. He's just out there. Salah's the same way, except he doesn't show that. He's very buttoned up and conservative, and because he's not Mike Shanahan's son. He had to create this life for himself, and he's beaten the odds already. I mean, just to become a position coach in the NFL, he's the first. I think he was the only Muslim coordinator. Now he's the first Muslim head coach. I mean, he's not nepotism. He's not Mike Shanahan Jr., Who the hell is Robert Sala? Well, he's someone that the entire league respects and that the media respects. I mean, the media really likes this guy. He's kind of like got this, like an effect like a Kennedy would have. You know what I mean? Like people really like this guy. I can't really tell. But again, he's got to win. We'll see. All the charm in the world doesn't replace winning. Although for Kyle, it's gotten close. This dude has done some serious losing. He needs to turn around now.
Yeah, blowing 2 Super Bowl leads. Yeah.
Good thing his last name's Shanahan. Otherwise, they wouldn't accept it. Yeah.
I was gonna say the nepotism is in full effect with Shanahan blowing 2 Super Bowl leads. And
now I'm not gonna point the finger at Shanahan at nepotism because that's what people said about me forever. I'm just saying you got to give Sala credit. Like he's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Next topic on the books, man. What are we doing here with Tim Tebow? And I emphasize the TE because he's moving the tight end. What is Urban Meyer doing? This is the only thing that I can think of. Okay, you signed Tim Tebow to a 1-year contract. There was a stat that came out, a tweet that came out that said Tim Tebow hasn't played NFL football in 3,053 or 56 days. If you divide that by 365, that's 8 1/3 years that he hasn't played NFL football. And you sign him as a 33-year-old tight end from the broadcast booth. Is this a publicity stunt? Is this something to take pressure off of Trevor Lawrence?
Is it a publicity stunt? Yes. I think the Jaguars want to be talked about. At the same time, I think Urban Meyer probably thinks, well, I don't know what he thinks, man. But if he's thinking, well, we'll give him a spot in the 90, but not the 53, and he'll be a good influence in camp, I could see a human being maybe putting those thoughts together. But look, this is my takeaway. If people are surprised that Urban Meyer is doing erratic things, making bad decisions, they shouldn't be. Because I can't predict the future, and this may turn out looking stupid, but I think Urban Meyer is going to fall on his face. I think Urban Meyer is a fraud. I think he's a bad coach. Now, he was a great recruiter in college. He was the best recruiter in college. I mean, or up there with Saban. But there's no recruiting in the NFL. There's no recruiting as a draft. Every team gets the same opportunity to get players, the same opportunity, the same cap space. It's all about coaching. And I'm sorry, man. He's the guy who coached Tim Tebow. He's the guy who let Tim Tebow come to the league throwing like he'd never thrown a ball in his life. Did Urban Meyer look like he spent any time with Tim Tebow going over mechanics? No, because Urban Meyer has nothing to offer as a coach. He is a recruiter. He's such a fraud. And it makes me laugh every time the Jaguars do something and people are like, what is going on over there? It's like, yeah, Urban Meyer's a joke. I'm sorry. And then he's going to say like, oh, I have to spend more time with my family. I quit. It's not that I'm losing. It's I quit. I leave. I'm leaving. He left on both places. And he said he had health issues, but then he's back. I'm sorry. I just don't believe he seems, and he had that weird thing at Ohio State with the assistant coach who, and then he covered it up and it's like, you know what? I don't know. But yeah, no, he's just a recruiter.
Yeah. And you can get away with that recruiting at the college ranks, when you're getting 4- and 5-star athletes across your team. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure just putting them out on the field, they'll beat 85 to 90% of the opponents that are across from them. But like you said, you can't get away with that in the NFL.
It's going to be like Cliff Kingsbury, man. He's not going to win. His offense is going to be so weak. It's going to be simple. It's going to be a college. He's going to lose.
Now, on a deeper level of thought, do you think that Urban Meyer is bringing Tim Tebow in as a tight end, but really going to use him to help teach Trevor Lawrence his offense?
I don't think it's a very complicated offense, man. It's a pretty simple college offense. Look, it's like, what is Urban Meyer thinking? It's like trying to get inside the mind of a dolphin. Like, who cares? Who cares what Urban Meyer is thinking, man? It's not an intelligent thought process. Any thought process that gets you to sign Tim Tebow in 2021 was a mistake. You should go back and look at your work, man, because you got the wrong answer. Even if you think every step of the way made sense, the end result was signing Tim Tebow and moving him to No, didn't they try this already? Didn't the Jets try this already? Or was it The Jets tried this already.
I forget what I
tried
think
it.
somebody did try it. Yeah.
No, man. If you want him, bring him in as a motivational speaker. He's a motivational speaker. He's still famous for that halftime rant he gave when he was like 20.
I wonder if that's it. If that's just to just pump this new Jacksonville Jaguars team up for like training camp in the preseason, and then all right, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
We're like trying to search what is the logical good reason to do this? There isn't one.
There isn't one.
It's ridiculous. Now, the first thing that Urban Meyer did this offseason that was in this vein was he got rid of a respected strength and conditioning staff in Jacksonville and brought in his guy from Ohio State, who then he had to fire within like 2 weeks because reports came out that he was racist. 2 weeks. Good job, Urban. And he was like, I should have known that. Yeah, you should have known that.
Yeah, you should have.
The hell out of here.
He's
just Jacksonville, man. If it was a bigger market, people would be making fun of him more than they already are.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And what do you think the players feel? Players in that locker room, players who are trying to make a 53-man roster this offseason, tight end, my buddy Joe, he was just in here with that comment, tight ends who are younger than him, who have, more recent experience playing the game, staying in shape. What does it say to those guys?
It says this team isn't all about
every
winning.
day.
It says this team isn't all about winning. There are other ways that you can make this roster. If you bring publicity, if you bring a good image, if you played for Urban Meyer 12 years ago. I mean, all of a sudden it looks like this isn't a meritocracy. This guy's here for some other reasons. I mean, he's not a coach. He's a player. He hasn't played in 8 years. It would make you look sideways at everyone in the organization. It would be very disheartening. It would be bad for morale. It is bad for morale.
Yeah.
Completely. It's like I would lose confidence in Urban Meyer. Anyone who decided that was a good move, I would lose confidence in their decision-making abilities. It's bad.
Definitely. Absolutely.
But it's Jacksonville. I mean, they have a really low bar anyway. When do they ever do anything right?
I think they got one on the board by taking Trevor Lawrence, but that was probably the easiest answer to get right. That's like writing your name at the top of your test.
Well, the Cardinals had the right answer and took Kyler Murray, and they still aren't winning. So let's see. We'll see. They got 8 wins last year. Yeah,
we'll see. Yeah. All right, man. Let's dive into the draft a little bit. We are about a little over a week removed from the NFL draft. A lot of coverage all around, the NFL landscape about this draft. Give me some of your draft winners and losers, man. What drafts did you like? What drafts did you not like? Who do you think set themselves up for success? Who do you think didn't do enough to move the needle?
It's a tough one, man. I got to be honest. I've been real focused on the Niners and their opponents. So I would have to say off the top of my head, whichever team had multiple picks in round one probably won. So off the top of my head, the Jets. I was curious to see what Robert Sala was doing. And every move they made, I felt it was a very similar draft to the Niners. They went offense heavy first. They went quarterback 1, off guard 2, weapon 3. Now the Niners went running back. The Jets took, I believe, wide receiver Elijah Moore, who's really good. I liked their draft a lot. I'm not really enthusiastic about Zach Wilson, although they seem to have made the right picks to support him the way the Niners did with Trey Lance. I mean, the guard the Jets took in round 1, Elijah Vera Tucker, went to my high school, which means he's going to be a Hall of Famer, flat out, like that. And then Elijah Moore, I think that's a really good pick. They also got Michael Carter, the running back from North Carolina, that I've liked a lot. So the Jets. And then in the NFC West, the Seahawks only had 3 picks. One of them, though, was that wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge, who looked really good in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. He's a little 5'9" slot receiver that they've had a lot of success with. Russell Wilson, kind of like Doug Baldwin, like that guy a lot. So what do you think?
Yeah, for as far as teams that I think were winners, I really like what the Browns did. Taking Greg Newsome, they needed help at corner. But I think their biggest weakness was linebacker. For them to have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah fall to them in the second round, I think that was huge for them. A lot of their other picks, Tommy Togiai on the defensive line, They even signed undrafted defensive tackle Marvin Wilson. So their rotation up front is going to be really, really good. I believe they got another linebacker. I got it pulled up. Who did they get? The second linebacker they took in the draft. Tommy Fields out of West Virginia. He's another coverage linebacker, sideline to sideline. So they really addressed that linebacker core. Their secondary was good. Their front four was good. They added Jadeveon Clowney. To me, the Browns have no excuses whatsoever. Absolutely no excuses. They got over the playoff hump. They made it to the playoffs. They did a great job. They even beat the Steelers in the first round. They got Odell coming back. I love what they did in the draft. I think, they have no problems, should have no problems. Not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they should go a little bit further than they did last year, building on that. I love what you spoke about, teams with 2 first-round picks. I love what the Dolphins did, adding a receiver like Jalen Waddle. Then at 18, adding a guy like Jalen Phillips. I've been telling a lot of people, from the film that I've watched of him, and just looking at his stature, just looking at, his build and how tall he is. I'm not saying that he is this player or he's going to be this player, but the fact that he got drafted to Miami kind of confirmed it for me, at least. He kind of reminds me of Jason Taylor. And again, he's not Jason Taylor. I'm not saying he's going to be Jason Taylor, but he looks the part.
Sure.
And if he can stay healthy and if he can put it all together, I think he's a dynamic weapon for that defense. Them getting Javon Holland in round 2.
Also went to my high school.
Listen,
so Grant, he's a baller.
Grant, was Elijah Vera, Tucker, Javon Holland?
Yeah, Odell football wasn't as special back then, but I don't know if you've seen 49ers X365 ever on Twitter. That dude went to my high school. He was the running back when he was a year older than me, and that dude was so good. Jesse Brooks ended up getting a Scully to Cal to play safety. That dude's a legend. Odell legend. Shout out Odell. Anyway, sorry about that. Javon Highland, you were saying. Also, Jalen Phillips started out at UCLA, my alma mater. Respect. He left when Chip Kelly came. Smart kid. Get the hell out of there, man. Good decision. He got recruited by Jim Moore Jr., who, look, not the most successful coach of all time, but coached 2 spots in the NFL, went to UCLA, and had more success than any coach I can remember at UCLA. So shout out Jim Moore Jr. Absolutely. I don't think he gets fair. I don't think he gets they ran him out of town and replaced him with Chip Kelly. I'd be pissed about that if I was Jim Moore Jr. He's better than Chip Kelly. Who the hell is Chip Kelly? Sorry, that was a tangent. That was total tangent. We were talking about, my bad. Sorry.
No, that's fine because listen, I'm on the East Coast. Yeah. A lot of my family, a lot of my friends, they're Eagles fans.
Gotcha.
And when Chip got fired or he left Philly and he came to the 49ers, all of them, they told me, they said, listen, good luck. They were like, we'll pray for you. We'll keep you in our prayers. He was like,
you guys found out all you needed to know about that guy in 3 years. The Niners were like, oh, maybe the Philadelphians were overreacting. Nope. He's a weird one. He's not a good coach. Players don't play for him. See it, dude. Listen, even UCLA can't win. I think they thought, well, he had success in the Pac-12. No. He's like a BlackBerry phone. He was cutting edge in 2007, but he hasn't upgraded his software in a long time.
No. I had to eat crow on that one because I was like, man, give him a chance. He's coming back to the West Coast. He's a little bit more comfortable. At the time, the 49ers had more weapons. He'll learn from his no. And they all got to say I told you so, which is horrible to hear from Eagles fans, but they were able to get that off, man.
They were right. They were right.
All right, back to the draft. I know you said you were focused on the Niners. And listen, if all of your answers are related to the Niners, that's okay with me. No problem at all.
Not necessarily.
Favorite pick? Yeah. Favorite pick versus not so favorite pick. So one player, a couple players, based on what you've seen from the draft. Give me, your favorite pick, a pick that you really like for the player, for the team, and give me your not so favorite pick.
Okay, I thought my favorite pick is obvious, but for me at least, Kyle Pitts to the Falcons at number 4. I mean, they got the best or the second best player in the draft at 4. I mean, that's great. They got to be thinking, maybe think about from the Falcons' perspective. They're at 4, and the Dolphins are at 3 initially, and they're thinking, "Oh man, they're gonna take Pitts, and we're gonna end up taking Waddle or whoever the next pass catcher is. That's the guy we're gonna get." And then the Niners trade up, and they're gonna take a quarterback. That's the best news you've ever heard. That's like cause for a celebration, Mardi Gras, man. That's the best news. And you get Kyle Pitts, and you get to pair him with Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. I mean, I don't really care about the rest of the team after. That's a good team. That's a team that can make no noise on any Sunday. So that one, Kyle Pitts to Atlanta.
Yeah, for sure. I think my favorite pick, there's a few of them. One, I'll just give you 2 though. One of my favorite picks was Kyle Farley to the Titans, mainly because of his injury history. Right before the draft, he had the procedure done on his lower back, and a lot of people were talking about him falling out of the first round. This is a guy that was arguably the number 1 or number 2 corner on everybody's big board. He was supposed to go in the top 10, no later than the top 15, but the injury kind of hampered him a little bit. Teams kind of, some teams completely eliminated them from their draft board. Mm-hmm. So for him to still get an opportunity to be selected in the first round, I think it was amazing for the person. He's a great kid. I don't know him personally, but just from what I've seen from afar, what he's done, the reason why he opted out was a genuine, heartfelt reason, I believe. So I'm really, really happy for the kid. My second favorite pick, back to our boy Robert Sala. I love what he did in the later rounds, taking Hamza Nasir-Ladin, safety out of Florida State. I love the pick, 6'4", 225-pound safety, who can do everything. He can play deep. He can play in the box. Now, he fell to the later rounds, one, because of his speed. He doesn't have top-end speed. He's not going to wow you with that. I think he should have been drafted higher just from the tape that I've watched. His instincts are off the charts. He's always where the ball is. He doesn't have stone hands. If he can get his hands on the ball, he's picking it off. He kind of reminds me, and I'm doing a lot of player comparisons today, but he kind of reminds me of a Cam Chancellor, somebody in that Seattle Seahawks vein, that Legion of Boom defense. He wasn't known for his speed either. He wasn't the fastest safety, but Cam Chancellor was everywhere. He was always around the ball. He was willing to hit. He was, the captain, the leader of that defense, from an emotional standpoint. So I think Hamza Nasir-Ladin can kind of fit that same mold, and he can kind of bring it all together in the back end of Robert Sala's defense. So I love that pick for Sala. I think it was a great landing spot for the kid, and I'm excited to see what he does over there with the Jets.
Sala, if you're watching, he likes your pick. I don't even know that one.
My not so favorite pick. That's a tough one. I had a couple names down, but my not so favorite pick, I'm gonna go with Rondale Moore.
Oh,
to the Cardinals.
Wow.
And here's why it's my not so favorite pick. That's my not so favorite pick because I don't want to have to deal with this kid twice a year. I don't want to have to.
Because honestly, that's been a slow offense outside of Kyler Murray. Now they got some speed.
Yeah, and I mean, they had Andy Isabella. They had Christian Kirk.
This is the guy that Andy Isabella was supposed to be.
Absolutely. And I don't care if he's only 5'7". I know what I've seen on tape. The kid's a baller.
Yep.
And you have DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green on the outsides, which means he doesn't have to carry the offense. He doesn't have to be the go-to target. He has to come in and make 4 or 5 catches a game, run a couple of deep routes, take the top off the defense. This kid, he has the potential to be special. And specifically with the 49ers and our young quarterback room, I know we have Verrett. I know we have, Quan, but we drafted 2 young corners. I don't think Quan's fast enough to guard Rondale Moore in the slot. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think, he's got the wheels to keep up with that kid.
Absolutely not.
You're going to have to put somebody like Ambry Thomas on him or something like that. Yeah. You're going to have to play a lot of deep coverage with the safeties. Jimmy Ward is going to have to play back. Jaquaski Tarr is going to have to play back because this kid can take it over the top. So that's probably my not so favorite pick, just for the simple fact that we got to see this kid twice a year.
Well, I don't root for the Niners, so I'm going to look at it a different way. I mean, the pick that just didn't make sense to me. I mean, the one I keep an eye on the Raiders because they used to be a Bay Area team. And that Alex Leatherwood pick made me laugh because I don't think much of him. I thought that like Aaron Banks, the Niners second round pick, the guard from Notre Dame, is a better offensive lineman than Alex Leatherwood. And the Niners got him 20, 31 picks after. I mean, what were the Raiders thinking on that one? I'm not certain that Alex Leatherwood can play tackle. I guess they drafted him to replace Trent Brown or whatever. I mean, we'll see, man. He might have to move to guard anyway. That was kind of like their Mike McGlinchey pick. I just didn't see it.
Yeah, I completely agree. When I saw that pick, it was a head scratcher for me too, because I was certain that he was going to be moved into guard. And I felt that the only guard type player that was worthy of a first round pick was Elijah Vera Tucker, because Elijah Vera Tucker is a guard who can offer you flexibility as a tackle. And you may say the same thing about Alex Leatherwood because he played tackle in college, but he played tackle in college for Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't think he has the ability to be a full-time left tackle in the NFL. So you're either going to have to move him to right tackle or you're going to have to move him inside to guard. So it's not an upgrade for position as a positive. It's a downgrade. And if it's a downgrade, I don't think that's worth the 17th pick in the draft. I completely agree with you. I thought they could have went somewhere else with that pick. Thankfully, they got a guy like Trayvon Merrick to fall to them in the second round. I thought he was the best.
Trade with the Niners on that one, right?
Yes.
The Niners were there at 43 and traded down to 48 with the Raiders, I believe. Yeah.
So, he fell to them in the second round. I felt like he was a first round talent, best safety on the board. So I kind of cleaned it up with that pick, but I completely agree that Alex Leatherwood's selection was not. Yeah, definitely. And that's actually the next topic, biggest reach or head scratcher.
Okay. So Leatherwood's in there. Let me see if we can think of some other ones.
For me, it's the Peyton Turner selection by the Saints. What was that? This is a kid who didn't have a first round grade, who guys like Jason Owe from Penn State and Gregory Rousseau from Miami got drafted after him. The Saints did the same thing with Marcus Davenport. Like, they reach for pass rushers who are mediocre at best, and you did it again with a guy like Peyton Turner. It was a wasted first round pick. It didn't make sense to me. I spoke to my father-in-law. It didn't make sense to him either.
Is he a Saints fan?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Well, then I got another one, and it's with the Saints. This is for your father-in-law. Ian Book. The hell was that? Ian Book? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Give me Jamie Newman. I'll take Jamie Newman, who ended up with the Eagles, right? Undrafted?
I think so.
Give me Jamie Newman. He's a better athlete. He's available after the draft. Ian Book, I didn't see that one. What was that?
To me, it didn't make sense because you already have not a quarterback controversy, but you have a quarterback competition. Yeah. You don't have a number one starter yet. That is something that you're going to decide. Yeah. It's either going to be Jameis Winston or it's going to be I'm blanking on his name. What's the kid's name?
Should I bail him out? Should I bail you out?
Bail me out.
Taysom.
There it is. Taysom.
It's the weird because is that really a name? I've never met a Taysom in my life.
Me either. But
I've never met a Taysom.
So you have a QB competition going into camp to decide who's going to be your number one. Whoever loses that is going to be a backup. Why waste a draft pick on a rookie quarterback that you know is not going to see the field? Sign a veteran on a veteran minimum deal. Don't waste a draft pick on a rookie quarterback who's not going to see the field and who, frankly, isn't that good.
It felt like a CJ Beathard pick. No one thought anything of Ian Book. If they hadn't taken him in round 4, God knows where he would have went. But it's Sean Payton. And Sean Payton has maybe an even bigger ego than Kyle Shanahan. And he's saying, you know what? Not only is Taysom Hill going to be Steve Young, but Ian Book's going to be Jeff Garcia. All right, man. Good luck. Let's see it happen.
Yeah. So
He thinks he's Bill Walsh. So far, he ain't, but we'll see.
Not even close.
No.
Close, but he definitely thinks he is. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Grant. We're just about hitting an hour. We got 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Last topic for the night, and I'll let you go, man. Get back to your family. Early predictions on offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Give me two names, one on offense, one on defense. Right now, just from what you know, what you've seen, who do you think could be offensive and defensive rookie of the year in the upcoming season?
All right. Let's start with offense. If Trey Lance starts week 1 and gets to play a full season with Kyle Shanahan in this offense, he's going to be in a better situation than the other quarterbacks. And quarterbacks usually win this award, I would think. So he'd be a favorite if he can get on the field quickly enough. Because even if he doesn't throw a ton, he's going to run and he's going to be – and even if he doesn't produce a ton, if he's the starting quarterback as a rookie on a team that's winning, he'll get credit. So he would be a contender. And then another guy is Kyle Pitts. That guy's going to start week 1. And if he's, rivaling Julio Jones for production in that offense, people are going to take notice. If the Falcons are good next year, people are going to look at him as maybe an X factor as to why. So those two guys jump out to me. How about you?
Yeah, I was definitely thinking Trey Lance. It all depends on when he's able to start. Honestly, I think even if he can come in week 5 or week 6 and he lights it up
for
that next 10 games, I think Trey Lance could be a lock for the offensive rookie of the year. I don't know. Obviously, what we'll see with the Jets will be a similar offense to the 49ers. But I think if Zach Wilson can put it all together and he has 3 or 4 wow games with a couple of those off-schedule, off-platform sidearm throws that just make everybody's jaw drop, I think it could be Zach Wilson as well.
Dude, if he plays well in New York, he'll get it. I still feel that the reason Odell Beckham Jr. is so famous is because of those 12 games he had as a rookie in New York. I mean, that's it. He's a legend. He made that catch while wearing a Giants uniform. End of story. Compare Beckham's career to like Antonio Brown's career. Antonio Brown was just consistently the best for like a decade. Odell Beckham Jr. never had that kind of consistency, but is looked at as the same caliber of player because he did it in New York. You're absolutely right about that. Zach Wilson just needs a few highlight plays, some crazy highlight plays. You're right about that. Yes.
If I start popping out of the heads and jaws drop.
OBJ effect. Yes.
Absolutely. I think it could be Zach Wilson.
I hadn't thought of that. Yep, you're absolutely right. Because look, the media likes when the media likes when the Niners are good. It's very important. There's not a lot of franchises on the West Coast, and the Niners are the one with the history. But they really like when the New York team is good. I mean, that's the biggest city in the country. So, yes, absolutely. Very smart answer. I'm with you on that. Defensive rookie of the year, Amin. Amin. He's in the comment section saying he knew I was going to say Kyle Pitts. Yeah, Well, he's saying Micah Parsons. I'm going to go with Amin's answer. I'm stealing Amin's answer, just like I steal Vicious from time to time. Micah Parsons. Dallas linebacker playing next to Leighton Vander Esch. They still have him. Jalen Smith, he still there?
Jalen Smith is still there. Leighton Vander Esch is still there, although they did not pick up his 5th-year option.
Really? Huh. I guess he's had neck injuries and stuff. And I don't know.
Yeah. They drafted another linebacker. Well, they got Jabril Cox out of LSU too, so I think they're trying to overhaul that linebacking core.
Yeah. Who do you like?
On the defensive side of the ball, what names did I have on the defensive side of the ball? I like Jason Owe in Baltimore. I think Baltimore has a solid defense. Their defensive scheme is the same every year. I think he has the tools to do well in that defense. As a pass rusher, I think he brings a level of athleticism that they have not had in a while. Maybe you can say they had it with Yannick Ngakoue, but Yannick Ngakoue wasn't nearly the athlete that Jason Owe is. And when you talk about from a speed perspective, when you talk about from an agility perspective, be able to bend on the edge, Obviously, there will be a learning curve, but I like Jason Oweh with Baltimore. And then another name that I really like, and I think he's in a great situation to do well. I like J.C. Horn in Carolina.
That's a good answer. I like that.
I think that for me, that was a surprise pick. I didn't know that they were going to go J.C. Horn. I thought that they may go Micah Parsons. You try to get somebody to kind of fill in the role or the void left by Luke Kuechly in his retirement. Yes. So you bring in a guy like Michael Parsons and put him at middle linebacker. That made sense to me. Rashawn Slater made sense to me at Carolina at 8. You make this trade for Sam Darnold. You give him what the Jets didn't give him. He has a bunch of weapons around him, right? DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. You draft Terrace Marshall. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He has the weapons. Now give him the offensive line to protect him. 2 things that he didn't have in New York. So I thought Rashawn Slater I thought he was a lock at 8. Then they come out of the woodworks and they say, J.C. Horn. I was like, whoa, that one kind of threw me for a loop. But I think in the situation,
I feel like the new age coaches understand that corners are more and more and more important, because if teams are going to roll out 3-4 wide receivers and they're all ballers, they're all the best athletes on your off. Look at Kansas City. How do you compete with Kansas City if you don't have corners who have high level speed and talent to match up? You can't play zone all day.
No, you can't. And then if you look at the division he's in, he's going to be tasked to guard Mike Thomas, Mike Evans, and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and possibly Kyle Pitts. Yeah. And one thing I know about J.C. Horn is he's a dog. He's got the mentality.
J.C. Horn cover Kyle Pitts. He did a very good job.
He's got the mentality like his dad, and he doesn't shy away from a challenge. And I think in that division, facing all of those guys twice a year, if you can hold your own and really show, a level of competency at that cornerback position, I think he could easily win Defensive Rookie of the Year in that particular division. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. Good call.
Cool, man. Grant, man, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate you coming on.
Great show. Thank you for having me.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, I'm terrible at final thoughts. I never know how to end a show, but I really enjoyed being on here. I thought you were great. You were prepared, and it was a stimulating experience. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed being on here.
Yeah, Grant. I know you're a big wine drinker watching the show, and you talking to your dad. I know you're a big wine drinker.
I'm trying to lose some weight over here, man.
Oh, don't talk to me.
It was a pandemic thing. I'm just
come on, man. I'm over here looking like a defensive lineman, and you talking about losing weight,
which means I'm trying to lose weight. And I don't know why she's trying to lose weight, because she looks great, but that's the way it is, right? It's the never-ending quest to lose 5 pounds. Always, I was trying to lose just five. Just five. Just
give me a quick 5 and I'm all right.
Good. Yeah, exactly.
But I definitely owe you a bottle, man. We got a great winery over here. It's called Moore Brothers. I actually took my wife out on a date. I was trying to find something interesting to do, and I know she loves wine. And I found this place and took her to a wine tasting. When we went, they were doing a tasting about Riesling, and they were telling us all the different regions that the grapes are grown, and like there's Rieslings, but then there's different kinds. There's like an Auslese and a Spätlese, and it's just where is this
winery?
It's called Moore Brothers, and it's on the East Coast. It's in Pennsauken, New Jersey.
Oh,
so it's
that's amazing.
Like 10, 15 minutes from my house. But I took her there. They had the printouts of the regions and how the sun shines on the grapes and what side of the mountain they grow on.
The wine thing is a big thing in Northern California. I've been going up wine tasting with my dad and my wife for a long time. It's cool to hear that the East Coast is getting into it too. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know about the East Coast wine scene at all, but it's nice to be introduced. So I would love to taste. I would love to. That would be great. Thank you, man.
So are you a red or a white?
I'm a red drinker usually, but I like both. Yeah. Whatever you think is your favorite. I'd love to taste your favorite New Jersey bottle of wine, man.
And then never had anything. And then what is it? Like Pinot Noir?
Love Pinot. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll put a package together and send something out to you.
Thanks, man. That's nice. I'm looking forward to it.
No, thank you. All right, folks, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap up our show tonight. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. Amin the Dream. This kid is absolutely amazing.
He's going to be owning the game in about 10 years. You already know.
Oh, yeah.
You already know.
Oh, yeah. His kid is great,
started man. Early. Yep.
I love everybody, man. If you stop by and you watch Mose Knows, you already know the drill. You are family now, and there's nothing that you can do about it. I love you, and I appreciate you for your time. We'll catch you in your next episode. Peace.